What shall I do to inherit life eternal? This ruler said to Jesus Christ in Luke chapter 18, verse 18. The young man of today's gospel is a conflicted person. He is the product of the materialistic philosophy. He is the victim of the sin of indulgence. The sin of the indulgence is the one that gives unrestricted desires to the flesh and expects man to please oneself without any restrictions, without any limitation. This spiritual disease, the disease of the indulgence, over promises great enjoyment, great satisfaction through materialistic means and sensual pleasures. It promotes, encourages the acquisition of transient, short-lived satisfaction through the means of pampering and coddling oneself. The sin of indulgence first occurred in paradise. It promised Adam and Eve the gain of eternity and equality with God. Instead, it delivered to Adam and Eve the blow of death. It made them prisoners of Hades. In paradise, the sin of indulgence made God the enemy of the people, of the humankind, and destroyed the union of mankind with God. Again, one more time, with this young man, the sin of indulgence struck and achieved the same results. The young man was torn between what he truly needed and what he wanted. He had become a subordinate to his wealth. He had lost control of his will. The things that he is getting in exchange of giving up his control proved to be unfulfilling and unsatisfying. His soul and his spirit are telling him what he needs and where he can find it. He's eager. He wanted to find that satisfaction. That's why he came to Jesus, looking for the union with the divine love, looking for serenity, looking for peace, longing for life eternal. Yet his submission, his lack of will in front of the sin of indulgence has blinded him. It kept him away from finding the true satisfaction. He was so misguided by the sin of indulgence that he could not realize that he was standing right in front of the source of the eternity, of life eternal, and he was talking to that source himself. Remember what Jesus said, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me, though he dies, yet shall he live. John chapter 11, verse 25. This rich man, even though he got so close, the closest possible to gain what he needed, sadly, the power of the sensual pleasures was strong enough to deprive him from obtaining what he needed, what he desired, and what he was looking for. Rejecting Jesus' invitation did not simply mean choosing wealth and prosperity. Rejecting Jesus' invitation meant choosing pain, grief, and loneliness. These are the things, as a matter of fact, the only things materialism can give in exchange for the dedication of its followers. Drawing lessons from the experience of a well-known money man, this rich man chose nothing and annihilation. The rich man that I'm referring to, that we are going to draw some lessons from his experience, is the dynasty Onassis. Onassis was one of the richest persons in the whole world. He died in 1975, shy of his 70th birthday. Onassis said he used a striking imagery. He described what it is like to live under the slavery of materialism. His imagery is challenging and thought-provoking. This is what he said. I have just been a machine for making money. I seem to have spent my life in a golden tunnel, looking for the outlet, which would lead to happiness, But the tunnel kept going on. After my death, there will be nothing left. Onassis was a very, very, very rich person. He had his own store of flights. He owned the Olympic Airlines. He had his own island. He was the one that invented the super tanks to transport petroleum. And that's what he said. This young man had in his hand the biggest opportunity of his life anyone can ever have. He met Jesus in person, physically. He spoke to him, and he received a personal invitation to be one of his followers. This was the closest point in his life ever to exit out of that tunnel. Yet, how sad it is that he turned back, or he turned his back to Jesus, to the eternal life at that moment, and went back into that tunnel. But when he heard this, he became sad, for he was very rich. The evangelist Luke tells us in chapter 18, verse 22. And Jesus himself was sad for him too. Jesus knew that this young man was about to discover a very harsh reality. He will soon experience great grief firsthand and loneliness. He will receive the reward of the sin of indulgence, just like all other followers. He lost the true happiness. The true happiness and sensual satisfactions are two different words. There can be no true happiness in the middle of sensual satisfaction. They are two different words. Man can never ever find true happiness or true peace through heaping up earthly materials. Millions do not always add up to what a man needs out of life, said Onassis. Earthly riches can give the person recreational and adventurous experiences, but never the true happiness of the eternal life that the soul longs for. The human being is not just a biological entity. Human being is a full person constituted of body, soul, and spirit. Materialism attempts, or can, I don't know if it attempts, but it can satisfy only some of the biological needs of man. Materialism can never penetrate into the soul to satisfy the needs of the spirit. The needs of the soul are immaterial, and the desires of the soul are eternal. The heavenly divine grace is the only source that can fulfill the longing of the spirit. It is a mere delusion to believe and to trust that man's need can be helped and be remedied through earthly means only. That's a fallacy. It's a delusion. Afflictions of life, chronic illnesses, different forms of pain, and other physical, spiritual, and emotional challenges can only be helped through God and His divine grace. Going back again to Onassis, he said, the more you own, the more you know you do not own. The more you have, the more you know you do not have. After a certain point, money is meaningless. And this is coming from someone like him, Onassis. The Holy Bible does not advocate idleness. It does not advocate poverty as the medicine against the disease of indulgence. The Holy Bible advocates hard work and charitable givings. The Holy Bible clearly states and advocates Jesus as the cure and as the answer. It emphatically, the Holy Bible teaches not to put one trust and heart in wealth. That's the message of the gospel today. Not to put one's heart and desires in earthly wealth, in materialism and riches. I think the psalmist said it the best. Rich men turned poor and went hungry. Rich men. But those who seek the Lord shall not lack any good thing. Psalm 34, verse 10. So, rich men turned hungry. And he didn't say poor men shall not lack anything. He said those who seek the Lord. Seeking the Lord is the medicine. Thank you very much.